Just some breaking news that's just now coming out. This is one of the two National Guards people who were shot. Her name is Sarah Beckstrom. She has died. She was shot in the head. She was the first one shot. The other guy that was shot, both from the West Virginia National Guard in Washington, D.C., he is still clinging to life. He got shot about 5 times before the attacker was taken out by a major who did not have a firearm, but he used his pocket knife to stab the attacker in the face and take him out. So very sad for Sarah Beckstrom and her family from West Virginia. And that just is so sad. This is the kind of thing that I have been predicting for several years, because when we started bringing all these Afghans over from Afghanistan after the collapse of the U.S. presence there under Joe Biden in 2021, I kept saying, why are we bringing all these people over? We don't need to bring these people over. And a lot of people disagreed with me on that. And they said, these people have been helping us for years. When this attacker, this Afghan guy, 29 years old, had been working for more than 10 years with U.S. military in Afghanistan. And I've been saying, no, they weren't helping us. It was their country. And we were there trying to make their country a place that was worth living in. They should be grateful. And that doesn't just ipso facto give them a right to come live in the United States.
Well, you don't have much time left. It's Medicare open enrollment season, that magical time of the year when the government hands you a stack of fine print, 24,000 plan options, literally, and a 3-week deadline to somehow not ruin your retirement. Most people throw darts at the wall and pick a random plan and end up paying thousands of dollars more every year. It's basically the Super Bowl of stupidity. Here's a better idea. Call Chapter. They're the only national Medicare advisors who actually compare every single plan, all 24,000 of them. Their advisors are on salary, which means they don't make a dime extra for shoving you into a garbage plan. They work for you and not for the insurance companies. You'll talk to a real human being when you call them. Patient, honest, shockingly helpful. They'll walk you through everything in under an hour, and it's free. It's fast, and they'll even tell you if you're already in the right plan. So no pressure, no nonsense. Unless you just love paying too much and losing your doctor, pick up the phone. Call 636-812-6714. That's 636-812-6714. Medicare open enrollment is open right now, but it closes December 7th. And when it closes, that's it. So don't be the person that waits until it's too late. Call Chapter right now.
Let's talk about what happened in Syria. Israeli forces carried out a raid on a town called Beit Jin. According to the military of Israel, the raid targeted members of a terror group known as Al-Jama al-Islamiyah, also known as the Islamic Group of Lebanon and Syria. 2 members were arrested. I mean, this is deep inside Syria. Right over here, this line is the de facto border between Israel and Syria. Israel has now pushed into Syria up to this line right here. This village where they did this raid was quite a bit deeper into Syria. This is the line that they've pushed up to. This is the border, goes right down near Quneitra. This is the new area that they're controlling, and you can see it's closer to Damascus here. So there's a very interesting article out in Israel Hayom today about the all-female intelligence unit that is gathering intelligence in Syria by going into Syrian territory and flying small surveillance drones very low and slow over some of these villages. And they're flying them low enough that they can actually capture faces, get facial recognition, figure out who's who. They've found some Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps guys that they've been able to take out. So they're the driving force behind a lot of what's going on in Syria right now with Israel. This all-female intel unit is doing a great job, apparently, of setting up traps. So not only gathering intel on who's who and where they are and what they're doing, but then working to draw them together in a place where there are not a lot of civilians so that they can drop a bomb on them. So we have some footage of the raid as it went down. This is provided by the IDF. Now, the raid kind of went sideways. It did not go as planned. They captured two members of this terror group. So this thing went sideways because they got into a firefight as they were pulling out. I guess they lost one vehicle. They had one Humvee that was burned, and you can see them fighting. You can hear the gunfire here as they're having a firefight. There were 7 IDF soldiers that were wounded in this exchange. So pretty serious stuff, obviously. The raid met armed resistance. Local gunmen engaged the Israeli troops as they were pulling out. By Syrian reporting, at least 13 Syrians were killed in the firefight that resulted. Among the casualties, Syrian officials claim there were some civilians that were killed as well. But the IDF says they were returning fire on militants that shot at them. 7 IDF troops injured. 4 of them are in serious condition, 2 in moderate condition, 1 was in light condition. Serious condition is not necessarily circling the drain, but they were hurt very badly, and they're going to need some serious time in the hospital to recover. Everybody should recover. They haven't announced any deaths from this. The operation concluded with the arrest of the stated targets, and the Israelis say that they also eliminated 2 other terrorists that were in the area. But it was pretty costly for Israel with this raid. The IDF says that this was a success. They accomplished their objective for the mission. They wouldn't call it a failure just because they had some guys wounded, but obviously nobody likes to see that. This is not the first time that the Israelis have done this. They've made it very clear that they're going to continue to do raids like this and are not going to back down from Syria. Why? Because there are some serious threats to Israel coming out of Syria. The organization that these guys belong to, it's actually a terror group out of Lebanon. And the fact that they were arrested in this little village in Syria is quite concerning, because that means that these guys are establishing a presence in Syria. We've had intelligence reports coming out in the recent past saying that there was serious threat being picked up out of Syria of a potential attack on Israeli territory out of Syria by some of these Islamic groups. Now, this particular Islamic group, even though they're based in Lebanon, they're a Sunni group, not like Hezbollah, which is Shia. They are backed by the Muslim Brotherhood. They're essentially an arm of Hamas, or they're very closely ideologically related to Hamas. And as I have pointed out many times, they exist in Jordan, in Syria, in Lebanon, and elsewhere, in Turkey, of course, Qatar. Israel defeating Hamas in Gaza is just a good first step, but they are going to have to continue fighting Hamas in Judea and Samaria, within Israel, in Hebron, and again in Syria and Lebanon. In the aftermath of this raid in Syria, Israel used air support to airstrike various places around that little town. Alexandroni Brigade under the 210th Division, and that's the unit responsible for operations on the Syrian front. The official reasoning Israel gave for that raid is that these militants were establishing a presence out of Lebanon in Syria with the specific intention of attacking Israel. They are known to have taken part in the rocket attack out of Syria, and they believe it was the same group. They have the ability to do so. Israel Katz, their defense minister, gave an ultimatum to the government of Lebanon and said, if you don't disarm Hezbollah south of the Litani River, at least by the end of this year, we will come into Lebanon again with a ground invasion to do it for you. This goes along with the ultimatum that the United States has given to the Lebanese army, that they need to disarm Hezbollah by the end of this year. That got kind of walked back a little bit because the Lebanese army came out and said, we estimate it would take us 15 months to fully disarm Hezbollah. They still have a lot of infrastructure in terms of tunnels and headquarters buildings. So that's why you see Israel continuing to strike Lebanon almost every day with airstrikes. And they are continuing to fly drones and other intelligence gathering platforms over not just Lebanon, but Syria as well, to gather as much information as they can. All that intelligence gives them the information that they need in order to strike at known Hezbollah targets and Hamas targets in those two countries.